I call you day or night. King? Ah. He's at it again.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, October 25th, 2017.
Commissioner Rivas, Repenning, James, and Jacinto are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, starting with Bureau Street Services.
Good morning, Tim Tyson, Bureau Street Services.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, John Olinger, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Reza Shahmirzadeh, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section, and we did not receive any speaker cards on any of the items for today's agenda.
Okay, we will close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. A couple of housekeeping items, or administrative items, I should say. Agenda item number 7. The release of a stop payment notice. Superior Duct Fabrication Incorporated has transmitted the release of a stop payment notice in the amount of $32,532.67 for furnishing heating, ventilation, and air conditioning duct fabrication to Performance Mechanical Incorporated, an apparent subcontractor, in connection with the Hyperion Wastewater Treatment Plant Digester Gas Utilization Project, the contractor for which is Constellation New Energy Incorporated. Is there a second to my motion that we receive agenda item number 7 forthwith? By Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? With that objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 6, administrative item in Council District 5. The Mayor has approved and authorized the Board to execute the contract with Far East Landscape and Maintenance Incorporated to perform duties pursuant to the Wilshire Miracle Mile Sidewalk Maintenance District Project for a term of 1 year, with an option to renew for up to 2 additional years, 1 year at a time, with an annual compensation not to exceed $120,212, subject to the approval of the city attorney. As to form and legality, this is just being sent back for signature. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 6 forthwith by Commissioner Jacinto? Any objection? With that objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 1. We have bids that will be received today for the active transportation ATP Cycle 1 Safe Routes to School Infrastructure Improvement for Sheridan Street Elementary School and Breed Street and Little Tokyo Pedestrian Safety Project. They are federal projects. Mr. Campos on agenda item number 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. You are correct. We are opening up the bids for the Active Transportation Cycle 1 project. This is in Council District 14. The city has estimated this project to be at $9,262,112 even. The first bid received for this project is from Sully Miller Contracting Company. Just bear with me, I'm going through all these pages one by one. For a total bid amount of $8,594,000 even. That's 8594000 from Sully Miller Contracting Company. For the record, line item number 26, line item 133 have been lined out by the contractor and has been initialed. Again, that's from Sully Miller Contracting Company for $8,594,000 even. The second bid received is from Environmental Construction Incorporated. For a total bid amount of $10,525,612 even. That's 10525,612 from Environmental Construction Incorporated. The third bid received for this project is from Palp Incorporated, doing business as Excel Paving Company, for a total bid amount of $8,982,148.70. That's 8982148.70 from Palp Incorporated, doing business as Excel Paving Company. The fourth bid received for this project is from All American Asphalt. For a total bid amount of $8,999,438.20. That's 8,999,438.20 from All American Asphalt. For the record, line item number 2, line item number 26, line item number 55, line item number 75 has been lined out by the contractor and initialed. The fifth and final bid received for this project is from Los Angeles Engineering Incorporated. For a total bid amount of $8,761,311 even. That's 8761311 from Los Angeles Engineering Incorporated. For the record, line item 28 and line item 103 has been initialed by the contractor and lined out. President James, that concludes the bid openings for today's agenda.
Okay, is there a second to my motion that the bids are received, opened, and declared forthwith by Commissioners Rivas and Repenning? Any objection? All right, that will be the order. Thank you, everyone. Agenda item number 2, Bureau of Engineering Construction Services Contract number 9, Cisco 9, Amendment number 1 for the Wastewater Capital Improvement Program, recommending that the board approve the Cisco 9. Again, Cisco is an acronym for the construction services contract. It is not the company. Amendment number 1 to increase the contract ceiling from $12 million to $15 million with a 1-year time extension and no change to other terms and conditions of the existing contract. Secondly, authorize myself or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the Cisco 9 Amendment number 1. And third, request the city clerk to attest and certify the 5 originals of the Cisco 9 Amendment number 1. The city clerk and the board each shall retain an original of the contract amendment and forward the remaining 3 copies to the Bureau of, or the remaining 3 originals to the Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. Sean Kenny on number 2.
Good morning, Commissioners. I am Sean Kenny. I'm a senior construction engineer with the Bureau of Engineering's Environmental Engineering Division. And I'm requesting a budget increase and time extension to our existing Cisco contract, which is part of the city's wastewater program, capital improvement program. This current contract has a 3-year term that was awarded in April of 2015 by competitive bid to a local general contractor with a $12 million budget. The contract is intended to complete smaller projects that are needed in a short time frame. We have currently, with 6 months remaining, we have executed 63 task work orders for a total of $9.5 million. 42 of these work orders are completed. We have additional work in the amount of about $2 million in the final stages of executing, so that will expend nearly all of our $12 million. At the same time, we've got several other projects that are approved through the Oversight Committee with the Bureau of Sanitation, the Program Review Committee, and your board. So we are asking that we get additional funding so we can continue to do this work. The need for an additional year of construction term, contract term, is due to the fact that as we award these projects, it takes time to finish them, and it generally can take another year to actually get through the entire construction phase. So we're therefore requesting 1 year additional time and $3 million additional budget for this contract. And again, this contract is closely monitored by the Board of Public Works and the PRC. Work is competitively bid in individual portions. We have excellent opportunity to outreach to subcontractors, and we've been able to do very well to meet our goals in that area. So that's all I have.
Great, thank you, Mr. Kenny. We'll start with Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Sean, good to see you up here. Cisco 9's we've been doing well on this, and it's I understand it to be an efficient use of our policies where we need to do work that is targeted and able to do within $1 million around that. And we've been following this for the last couple of times. Mary's done a great job of outreach, and you look at the BIP, our business inclusion numbers, and they're basically doubled on their MEB and almost 5 times the goal of our women business enterprise. That's extraordinary, and that's a good standard and a good benchmark for other primes. So I don't have a problem with that. At the end of the year, what are we going to do? What is the intent of the program? Do you want to go out to bid another Cisco 10? Is that?
We have actually received bids for Cisco 10, and they're in review now. So we hope to have that in place early next year.
So that if this board extends Cisco 9 1 year and $3 million, at the end of that year, we'll go into Cisco 10.
We will have 2 contracts concurrent. We will stop issuing new work to Cisco 9 and then issue new work to Cisco 10. So there'll be a little bit of an overlap while we finish awarded executed work on Cisco 9.
So a little overlap, and Cisco 10 is in progress already, the vetting of that too.
Yes.
So the rationale of this is just really to expand Cisco 9 and get as much work as we can.
Yeah, not to have any negative impact on the workflow.
Correct. Okay, great. I'm happy to support this.
Great, thank you for that, Commissioner Jacinto. I would just mention, for the record in the board report, Table 2, the subcontractor outreach program utilization under this Cisco 9. The numbers are pretty good. I mean, you're looking at anticipated participation of MBE at 6%, actual participation as of July 31, 2017 at 13.6%, WBE anticipated participation of 2%, and the actual participation was 11.3%. So those numbers are very good. You might share that was pointed out at the board meeting. We appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for us to reach out to the local subcontracting community, and the fact we've been doing it for 20 years now with our Cisco contracts, I think we've got a pretty well-established procedures, and we hope to continue to do that, continue to participate in events that the mayor's office is sponsoring, and we're also open to even have one at our treatment plant someday.
Those are good results. Thank you, Sean.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objections? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 2. Any issue sending 2 forthwith? We will send 2 forthwith. Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 3, Bureau of Street Services, Council District 1. Requested tree removal, 4490 East Lincoln Avenue and 1411 North Avenue 45. Recommending that the board certify that it has reviewed and considered the information in the mitigated negative declaration for the project at 4490 East Lincoln Avenue and find the information contained therein appropriately addresses the requested tree removals. Secondly, find that the project will not have a significant environmental effect under the above described MND, as the imposition of the mitigation measures described in the MND and incorporated herein as project conditions that there is no substantial evidence the project will have a significant effect on the environment pursuant to the city's environmental guidelines and is in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. Third, find the project's conflict with any local policies or ordinances protecting biological resources such as tree preservation policies is less than significant with the incorporation of mitigation measures 4-70 and 90 as contained in the MND. Number 4, adopt the MND. Number 5, specify that the Bureau of Street Services Urban Forestry Division, located at 1149 South Broadway, is the custodian of the documents or other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. And 6, approve the request for a fee tree removal permit for 2 cartwood trees and 1 evergreen pear tree. Tree replacements are required. Mr. Tyson, sir, on number 3.
Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. DHS and Associates Incorporated is constructing a 10-unit small lot subdivision at 4490 East Lincoln Avenue. The proposed new small lot will be 3 stories and will include a minimum of 2 parking spaces per unit with attached private garage as part of the vesting tentative track 73291-SL. Contained in the entitlements are Bureau of Engineering and Los Angeles Department of Transportation requirements, including street widening and other related street improvements. Mr. Steve Nazimi, property owner representative, applied to the Bureau of Engineering for a construction Class B permit to widen the street as part of the conditions to construct the project. The Bureau informed Mr. Nazimi the required street widening may necessitate street tree removals. Therefore, Mr. Nazimi contacted the Bureau of Street Services requesting the project site be inspected per the impacts related to the trees for the construction and development. A Bureau arborist inspected the subject location on July 17, 2017. The inspection revealed 2 carrotwood trees and 1 evergreen pear tree in fair condition growing on North Avenue 45. The trees are in fair condition and measure approximately 12 to 14 inches in diameter at chest height by 20 feet in height, growing in an 8-foot wide parkway. The trees will be in the footprint of the proposed roadway and severely impacted. Within the contents of the letter of determination, Bureau of Engineering condition of approval, section S3B2 requires the developer to widen North Avenue 45 from a 12 feet half roadway to a 20 feet half roadway. The required street widening and public sidewalk improvements will severely impact 3 street trees. The Bureau agrees that performing street widening and the installation of the sidewalk, curb, and gutter will require the removal of the trees. After they widen the street, there will be a 10-foot wide sidewalk that will have 4x6 wells, and Mr. Jose Rodriguez, 1st District Office, was informed of the tree removal request on July 28th and October 6, 2017. Notice of the proposed tree removals were posted on the subject trees on February 23rd and again on October 6, 17. Proposed tree removals were included on the Bureau of Street Services tree removal notification system, and the Community Forest Advisory Committee was also notified. The applicant shall plant 6 24-inch box-size evergreen pear trees on site to replace the removed trees. That's actually going to be 9 trees, as they actually have another area where they can plant 9 trees on this project. So that will fulfill the minimum of 6 trees to be replanted for the 3 trees that are going to be removed if it's approved today by the board.
Okay, any questions? I don't have any questions. Tim, has there been any kind of opposition or objection sent to the Bureau after the posting of the trees?
We did not get any objections as in email form or written letters, but what we did have was one person that was on the removal notification system requesting to be notified when this hearing would be, and they were notified.
Okay. Then I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 3. Is there a second? On number 3, Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3. Any issue sending 3 forthwith? We will send number 3 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 4. Council District 10, street closure. Wilshire Boulevard between Manhattan Place and Western Avenue. Recommending that the board find that the Board of Public Works has reviewed and considered the information in the project draft environmental impact statement, environmental impact report. It's transmittal number 2. Find under the California Public Resources Code, Section 21166, and the California Environmental Quality Act Guidelines, Section 15162, on the basis of substantial evidence contained in the whole record, that since certification of the EIS and EIR, there have been no changes with respect to the circumstances under which the temporary street closure being undertaken would require a subsequent EIR or supplemental EIR. 3, adopt the March 12th Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program prepared by Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transit Authority as it pertains to construction impacts. Number 4, find under the CEQA Guidelines, Section 15091, the changes have been incorporated into the project which substantially lessen significant environmental effects as identified in the EIS and EIR. Further, find that there is no feasible alternative or additional feasible mitigation measures within the board's powers that would substantially lessen any significant effect the project would have on the environment. 5, adopt the CEQA findings of fact and statement of overriding considerations, transmittal number 3, as it pertains to the temporary street closure, and find that the economic, social, technological, and other benefits of the project outweigh its significant and unavoidable impacts. 6, specify that the Metro Transit Division of the Bureau of Engineering, located at 1149 South Broadway, and the board, located at 200 North Spring Street, and other relevant City of Los Angeles departments are custodians of the documents or other material which constitute the record of the proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. And 7, approve the request to temporarily close Wilshire Boulevard between Manhattan Place and Western Avenue, transmittal number 4, for 14 consecutive weekends, starting, and I understand there's a dip or two, or I should say a break or two regarding holidays, but we'll get the dates down. 14 consecutive weekends starting Friday at 8 p.m. and ending Mondays at 6 a.m. for the following weekends, subject to the conditions identified within the report. And here's the list of the weekends. October 27 to October 30th, 2017. That's this weekend. November 3rd to 6th, 2017. November 10 to 13, 2017. November 17 to 20, 2017. Obviously, there's a skip there for Thanksgiving. December 1 to 4, 2017. December 8 to 11, 2017. December 15 to 18, December 2017. Then there's a skip for the Christmas holiday to January 5th to January 8th, 2018. January 12 to 15, 2018. January 19 to 22, 2018. January 26 to 29, 2018. February 2 to 5, 2018. February 9 to February 12, 2018. And February 16 to February 19, 2018. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Reynaldo Saldivar. I'm with the Bureau of Engineering's Metro Transit Division. This item is for the Metro Purple Line Extension Project, which is a 9-mile subway system that will extend the Purple Line from Koreatown to Westwood. This project is divided into 3 sections, and today's item is for Section 1. Metro's contractor, STSJV, is requesting to close Wilshire Boulevard from Manhattan Place to Western Avenue to perform 3 phases of work. Phase 1, which is piling, Phase 2, jet grouting, and Phase 3, which is decking and excavation. This board report is requesting the approval of 14 weekend closures for the Phase 1 piling and Phase 2 jet grouting weekend closures. Phase 3 decking and excavation will request an additional 12 weekend closures, which will be sought off in a separate board report at a future date. Each closure will last...
I'm sorry, would you repeat that part?
That Phase 3 decking and excavation will be requesting an additional 12 weekend closures that will be sought off in a separate board report.
Is that going to be for the same area?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just, right now, they're only doing Phase 1 and Phase 2.
Yeah, we're going to work this area pretty hard, aren't we? Yeah. Go ahead.
Each closure is set to last 58 hours, starting at 8 p.m. on Friday and ending at 6 a.m. the following Monday, from October 27, 2017 to February 18, 2018, with no work scheduled for the weekends of Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Included in this report are recommendations to the board that addresses the California Environmental Quality Act associated with these closures. All major BOE approvals to perform with these closures have been obtained, and LADOT has stated that they have approved the worksite traffic control plans associated with these closures. Council District Number 10 has communicated that they support the full weekend closures associated with this work, and there is an LAPD exemption from work hour restrictions for nighttime, early morning, and Sunday construction, which was granted on October 5th. Metro has stated that they are committed to providing advance notice and mitigating construction impacts for these surrounding communities, and Metro Construction Relations have informed the community and its stakeholders via briefings and meetings, distribution of construction notices, project website updates, waste notifications, updates through social media, and through their project hotline. Metro and their contractor will continue their community outreach.
One moment, sir.
Sorry.
Go back to the sentence where you just said, we just started with Metro is committed to providing mitigation measures. Would you read that part again?
They are,
It's where you just started, that last sentence that you just did.
okay, Metro has stated that they are committed to providing advance notice and mitigating construction impacts for these surrounding communities.
Yeah, here's my my concern on that. Well, why don't you go ahead and finish your report, and then I'll tell you what I'm thinking. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Metro and their contractor will continue their community outreach in advance of construction activities and during the life of the project. I therefore ask that the board adopt this board report with the recommendations listed in the report. That concludes my report. We have representatives here from Metro, STSJV, LADOT, and the Bureau of Engineering's Environmental Management Group, in case you have additional questions.
Okay, so thank you, sir. Appreciate it. It may be somebody from Metro that I'll need to hear from. Very unusual that I get complaints ahead of time. I know they generally go through you guys. But I've gotten some complaints regarding just kind of, and I understand video is forthcoming, regarding late night construction work around the area that is problematic, and recognizing that the work has to be done. And we support the project. I don't intend on holding up the street closure. Let me just put that on the table. But after a little more inquiry, I learned that there are other mitigation measures, additional mitigation measures that could be utilized that could deal with noise at night. Okay. And I'm not going to ask Metro to do so yet. What I am going to do is, and anybody from Metro who feels that they're the appropriate person is happy to address this, I would like to put a condition. I'm going to propose a condition, and my colleagues can do with this as they wish, but my thought on a condition is, after 2 weekends, I would like for a representative, we don't need another board report, but I would like for a representative from Metro to come back to the board and report on any complaints that were received and what was done to mitigate those complaints. Because I think, given the fact that there's as much construction going on during these weekend nights, when for a lot of people that's when they can catch up on rest and things like that. It's weekend, it's family time, it's time when people are home less than they are, I mean more than they are at work typically, not always, but typically. I'd like to, think that we need to more closely monitor this heavily residential and densely populated area and I feel like the best way to do that is to put a condition on it now going forward. And if we end up with a smooth process, great. Then after that report, we'll go on a few more weeks and see. But if we do get a significant number of complaints that are of concern, then we can decide, not stopping the closure, but then we can decide what mitigation measures might be available to provide some relief to the community. So that's my thought. I have some mitigation measures in mind, but I don't feel like I need to go into them unless we end up needing them. Unless Metro wants to do so on the record today, that's up to them.
Sure.
So what I'm asking, what I'm proposing, colleagues, and then I see you got your lights on, is that we put the condition on that at week 3, after the first 2 weekends, this weekend and next weekend, we see how we're doing, and if we're doing okay, then we just continue along. But I would like a report to the Board of Public Works on complaints, the substance of the complaints, and what's being done to address them. And then if we need to ask for mitigation measures, more mitigation measures, then we will. All right. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Jacinto?
Thank you, President James. I would like to check in with Metro, since I believe there's representative here, to see if they've are aware of some of the concerns regarding the...
Okay. We actually have their community relations representative, Ned Racine, can come up and speak more onto that.
Please, can you tell us a little bit about what President James has mentioned, if that's come to Metro, and sort of what the preview is on that? I do support the check-in after the 2 weekends to see about some process.
We have no problem reporting after 2 weekends. We log all of our complaints. We have
Your name, sir?
Ned Racine. I'm the Senior Construction Relations Officer for Purple Line Extension, responsible for Section 1, which includes Western Wilshire. We log all of our complaints, so there's no problem with coming back and reporting to the board about what we've heard. We know that there were a couple of institutions that were not in love with our nighttime variance. We've spoken to them multiple times. We have been telling residents and businesses since May, giving them a preview of what's to come, including 4 presentations to the Center Wilshire Koreatown Neighborhood Council. So we've done what we can to let people know it's coming. On October 30th, we're sending a mailer to 15,000 addresses about the upcoming weekend closures.
Okay. I just would support, I am supporting President James's sort of preview of the check-in and Metro and the contractors' mitigation, noise mitigation as it is nighttime, for the whole entire weekend. So thank you for all in advance, and look forward to hearing from you in a couple of weeks.
Great, thank you. And let me just say, my bad. I should have started by mentioning, sir, I don't know that I've seen you as often as some of the others that that have come in on the regular reports when Mr. Clark comes in. And we pretty consistently always compliment Metro and our BOE team on this project. You guys have just done terrific work on this project. It's run really smoothly. It's gone, from our perspective, it's gone really well. I've been in some of the planning meetings with the council office. This is just one situation that's come up that, because it came to our attention, we need to address it. And so, and I just think it's better for all of us if we just kind of monitor it as we go along.
We have no problem reporting, and I think we work pretty closely with CD10.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Repenning?
I just wanted to ask, this is something that I've asked as well from your colleagues working on the Downtown Connector project. It's useful to us as you're requesting our support for these closures, if you could package it in a way that explains to us how this relates to other closures that you're doing in the area, so that we can see, are we opening something up as we're shutting this piece down, just so that we can have the bigger picture. I'd prefer to have that bigger picture rather than approving the closures in a piece. I know it's not piecemeal to you, but for us with this type of report, it feels a little bit piecemeal. So if there's a way to just include that information in the future.
Hi, I'm Brian Hancock, a third-party manager for Metro. So right now, La Brea and Fairfax intersections are completed and they're decked over. So the only other closure that would be during these weekends would be in Beverly Hills at Wilshire and La Cienega. Now, it's in the city of Beverly Hills. There are some detours that go through city of LA, but we feel that's far enough away that those impacts shouldn't really, hit Western over there in that area. So
those intersections, those other intersections in LA are now open, but you still have some other closures, lane closures, and
sure, there will be some lane reductions near Fairfax or La Brea out there, but nothing that we're going to do in eastbound or westbound or full closure on.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Repenning. Commissioner Davis.
I wanted to talk about the choice of night work. We often choose to begin doing work on projects in the evening because of less disruptiveness and also because of, in some cases and instances, the weather is better for working for the workers. Is that pretty accurate, and are there other reasons, and can you elaborate in terms of our decision-making process to choose to do it then?
Sure. Well, for the weekends, the only night is really, that would be under the variance, is that Friday night after 9 p.m. And then all day Sunday is also part of the nighttime variance. I wanted to point out that in our meetings with Mr. Tiefenk from the Police Commission, we've committed to shutting down the noisy work by 10 p.m., which includes jackhammering, saw cutting, chipping kind of thing. I know a couple days ago we had a rogue traffic signal contractor out there, I think at 1 in the morning with a saw cutting machine.
That's what we heard about.
And that's gone viral, I guess. But lesson learned, we've got our hands slapped and we are reining this in. And
so did we.
I think it's gone up high enough that everybody's heavily invested in this now. Okay. I just wanted to point that out.
It's easier to do that kind of work in the evening than during the business
something
day.
like when we ask for a certain evening work, if it's a sewer lateral or let's say fiber optic connection that is in the middle of a restaurant's driveway, well, we don't want to shut down their driveway to their parking during dinner time hours, right? It's best to do that work at night, and then that's when we'll prep it and we'll saw cut it and get it ready and put the steel plate over during the daytime hours, and then after 10 p.m. we can still dig and do some of the quieter work.
And less traffic as well during
less traffic, right?
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Anybody else? Thank you all. So I don't have any more questions. I guess the best thing to do, and Curtis, maybe since you're our direct report, so at the end of, we're on a Wednesday meeting. So 2 weeks from today, that's after 2 weekends. So either on Monday, what's 2 weeks from today? Because I skip months, I lose my numbers.
It would be Wednesday, November 8th.
Okay. Either Monday, November 6th or Wednesday, November 8th. I think it's probably better to do Wednesday because if something happens on Sunday night, yeah. Let's do Wednesday, November 8th. Curtis, if you and your colleagues at Metro could come in for an oral report, we'll agendize it that way. What we would, Mr. Jordan, what do we need to do regarding, between yourself and Dr. Campos there, what should we do regarding the conditional nature of the street closure? Do we need to add a sentence and amend it, just saying that the closure is granted, and then for the conditions we add, normally we have, under conditions we add a condition number 6 that say that permittee shall, we're just trying to do this out loud here, permittee shall report back to the Board of Public Works on Wednesday, November 8th, regarding public outreach and any complaints, and we're getting a record of this, a recording, so, and any complaints related to the closure, at which time a further date for a report will be set, meaning every few weeks. So if we have success at week 3, then maybe we go to week 9, because the early time is when you're kind of setting your precedent. And then after week 9, we're done till week 14. That's the way I would propose that we do it. Is that okay?
So, Mr. President,
Good morning. Yes, we understood.
Yeah, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Mr. President, just to be clear, so we're adding in this new condition. It would be condition number 8, not 6.
Oh,
6 would stand as
Did I
specified
miss a
at
couple? Oh,
Metro
somehow
Division.
I missed a couple. Whatever the next condition is. The next one.
A new condition.
Yes.
Requesting that the permittee shall provide that report. To clarify on your proposed amendment, would this board consider approving just the first 2-week enclosures and then hold the remaining closures after that? Or have a contingency that if no complaints are received, then the remaining closures would continue or be
No,
approved?
here's why I don't want to create that uncertainty for Metro. I would prefer to grant the closure. We work with Metro on a lot of projects, and if we have a problem, we're going to be able to resolve it with some mitigation measures. And we'll ask Metro for some mitigation measures. Mr. Jordan, do you want to?
Yeah, so, you can add to your new condition that Metro will agree to comply with reasonable mitigation measures that may be requested in light of complaints received. And they've already articulated at least one already, which is the elimination of saw cutting during the nighttime.
Yeah.
So we can add that right now if you'd like, or I don't think there'll be
I think that we would add that right now. I think we can give them the certainty of the closure. And then as the oral record that's recording, we'll be able to go back and write it in with the 2-week report. And then at 2 weeks, well, it's after 2 weeks. Then after that, we'll decide how many more weeks we need to go out, and Metro will agree to work with us on any mitigation measures that result that come from complaints. And maybe we don't have any. That's our goal here. Yeah. Okay.
So the only concern I have, and I'll defer to our city attorney, is that if we do come back, or when Metro comes back, this would be a proposed amendment to this report. If Metro does come back and provide that report, or when they come back to provide that report on November 8th, and if this board wanted to change any of those street closures, the item before you would be an oral report. So therefore, it would require some sort of motion to be drafted to go and modify the existing report before you. So on November 8th, this report would not be before you. It would only be the oral report. So therefore, if this board wanted to make any changes, if any,
couldn't it be
on November 8th, how would we move forward with that?
Okay. Couldn't it be an oral report that attaches this closure to it? That's the subject of the oral report? I don't feel like I need any teeth at that point. I feel like we have enough of a relationship with Metro that we can work on a mitigation measure on good faith.
I agree, given the level of cooperation, and the reality is the board meets 3 days a week. So if we need to do something in a more formal way, we can simply agendize it at that time. And maybe there's one, further closure that happens before we can bring it back with a more formal agendized item. I think that represents a fair balance.
I kind of think we're looking for a problem that we may not necessarily have.
And I agree with the solution from Mr. Jordan, and perhaps we can connect this oral report to the official file number BPW 2017-1013. So therefore, it still remains on the table.
Okay, great. But Metro has the closure.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much.
All right, so my motion would be that we adopt agenda item number, whatever number we're on now, number 4, as amended. Seconded by Commissioner Ascento. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 4 as amended. Any issue sending number 4 forthwith as amended? We will send it forthwith as amended. And we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks, and we hope it is a very short oral report.
Thank you.
We'll see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. And
Thank you.
we'd like to invite you, if you guys ever want to come out to the site to look at not just Western, but La Brea or Fairfax, where we're pretty far along. La Brea, we're about 80 feet deep right now, so it's pretty impressive to look at if you ever.
Great. Well, I have not yet turned down one of those invitations, so I will not turn down yours either.
All right.
And we'll find time for me to do that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 5. Council District 4, construction order, Mulholland Drive, bulkhead, authorizing the board, recommending that the board authorize the execution of the construction order for the project to John S. Meek Company in the amount of $593,696 with a not-to-exceed limit of $712,435.20. Mr. Garcia.
Good morning. Pedro Garcia, Bureau of Engineering, Geotechnical Engineering Group. This project is located on Mulholland Drive between Benedict Canyon and Coldwater Canyon. The scope of the project includes extending an existing bulkhead to repair 2 washouts on both ends of the bulkhead. We're also going to replace the existing timber lagging on the bulkhead since it's highly deteriorated. We're going to reconstruct a storm drain that's behind the bulkhead, including the storm drain outlet structure at the base of the bulkhead. 3 bids were received for this project on August 29th. John S. Meek was the low bidder with a bid 7.28% below the city engineer's estimate. Our policy for awarding projects over $500,000 to our on-call list of contractors requires that we receive board approval. So that's what this motion is for.
And when the board approves these, I like to see the other bids, or at least a summary of the other bids. Do you know what those are, the other 2 bids?
Yeah, the other 2 bids were from Clark Contracting Corporation. They had a bid of $639,275, which is about, it's 0.16% below city engineer's estimate. And the third one was from PPC Construction Incorporated with the bid of $714,880, which is 11.65% above city engineer's estimate.
And so we are approving the low bid?
Yes.
Okay. We've had these before, and if we could just on the back of the motion, I realize it's a simplified process for you all, and I understand the reason that you like that process, but it's helpful for us if we could get that summary of the bid process, or the bid competition summary, if you will, for lack of a better term, just on the back of the page, because it's easier for us to, at least for me, to comprehend what we're voting on.
Okay, we'll do.
And obviously, we did not have any protests related to it. Correct?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Davis.
No, that was it. I wanted a clarification that this was in fact the lowest bid, so it is.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Is there a motion on agenda item number 5 by Commissioner Asinto? Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Asinto. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 5. Any issue sending number 5 forthwith? We will send number 5 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Agenda item, is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting on Monday, October 2nd, 2017 by Commissioner Repenning? Without objection, we will do so, and that way Dr. Campos doesn't get to tease me at the end of the meeting for forgetting that. Agenda item number 6 we have done. Number 8, 6th Street Viaduct Update Oral Report. Ms. Allen.
Good morning. Julie Allen, Bureau of Engineering, 6th Street Viaduct Division. I'm happy to be here today to give you our quarterly update of the status of activities of the 6th Street Viaduct project since I was last here in July. I'd like to start with the fact that we gave a tour this seems echoey, I'm sorry. Maybe I'll stand back. We gave a tour last Thursday to Congressman Jimmy Gomez of the site. He came out and took a tour, hard hat and vest, and walked the whole site with us, and was very pleased with the project, and we were happy to have him out and his staff, and he posted it up on his Facebook page, so just wanted to pass that along. I'll now go into the construction status. The first set of photos that you see on the monitor in your hard copy is a photo of the false work that was in place during the last time I came here in July 26th, compared to a photo on the right of the false work installation as of last Wednesday when I prepared the presentation. And you can see that the false work around the columns has been further enhanced. We now have false work about 50 feet in the air on either side of the column, and that will set the structural foundation for the bridge and the Y-bent structure that will be going up in the area. The next set of slides is work within the LA River. When I was here last time, they were working on the shoring installation. Basically, they're shoring the whole railroad complex on the west side of the river, so they removed all of the concrete lining and did excavation. The shoring was completed in August, and in the next picture you see that in September they had completed the formwork installation for the retaining wall. Go ahead. The next photo is of the completed wall when the formwork has been removed and they restored the lining in the LA River, and that was completed by October 15th, which is the official start of the wet season. So they were able to do all the work that they needed to do to restore the concrete lining in the channel. And on the right is a photo from the top. We have cameras that are placed by Metrolink on the top of the railroad tracks just to witness the work, so it's a different view of the work that's being performed. And on the top there is where they're going to be installing the new CIDH 160-foot deep diameter, 10-foot diameter piles on the west side of the river. That work will be starting probably in November, in the next month. And then they'll be proceeding with the following foundations west of the railroad tracks. The final set of photos is the retaining walls for the abutment on the west side of the bridge where it touches down between Santa Fe and Mateo. The retaining wall that you see in the photo was under construction last time I was here, and it was completed by last week. And the retaining wall on the north side of the abutment is under construction right now, so that should be completed by the next time I come here. The next slide, I want to discuss a little bit about the challenges that we've been having in the past quarter. We don't have our false work design approved by Caltrans yet. The contractor's gone through several iterations of the design of the false work. What you see constructed is a partnership that we've worked with SSW to install outside of the Caltrans right-of-way under their own risk to keep their crews moving and to mitigate any delays to the project. But it's not formally approved yet by Caltrans, so they're not able to install any false work yet over the 101 freeway. We anticipate that will be resubmitted to Caltrans this week, and we hope to have an approval of the false work design in the next couple of weeks, and then they'll be able to continue the false work installation within the Caltrans right-of-way. The next challenge that I've identified is the completion of bridge information modeling, which is a 3D design of all the rebar and the post-tensioning, all the materials that go inside the structure, and the contractor is working on that now to make sure that when they start installing the rebar and the other materials that it all fits together properly. So we expect that that'll be completed in the next few weeks as well. The next one is coordination with the railroads. This will be an ongoing activity. We're now going to be starting work on the west bank of railroads to do the installation of the foundation piles, as well as the false work that'll be starting on the east side first and then on the west side. So we're meeting with them on a regular basis to make sure that the access that we need across the tracks will be available and will have minimal impacts to their operations.
Julie, before you go on to the next one, the coordination with the railroads has been in the challenges category the entire time. And if you'd given me a multiple choice test 4 years ago and that would have been on the list, I would have checked that one as somewhat predictable. And that's neither here nor there. It's just the way it is. It's the complicated nature of their business and what we're doing and the infrastructure that exists. And I expect that it's going to stay on the challenges list until the project is complete.
I agree.
The question is, how would you describe the working relationship at this point with the railroads? Has it gotten better? Because early on, it seemed like we were flirting with a category that I would call litigious. Are we in a category now? Have we gotten out of the red zone into more of a lighter zone that's maybe challenged versus cordial, or are we in the cordial and professional? If we've got professional, cordial, challenged, and litigious, which category would the working relationship fall under?
I would say on the west bank of railroads, we're under the category of cordial but cautious because we haven't really done a lot of work with the west railroads as of yet. We did the demolition with them, which went really well, and that garnered a lot of trust amongst the team. This will be the first stage of work that SSW with their other subcontractors will be working with them. So far so good, but there was one incident with electrical accident that occurred that raised some concerns amongst the agencies about competency, but it's been resolved and everybody's moving forward. So I have optimism about how it'll work out, but when it comes down to the actual scheduling of work around Amtrak's schedule versus Metrolink's schedule versus BNF storage yard, and it'll get down into the details, and we'll see how challenging it gets at that point. The east side is with UP and Metrolink, and we haven't worked for the last few months with them, and that's the one I'm probably most concerned about once we start work up again and need access across their railroad tracks. But we're meeting with them tomorrow morning, as a matter of fact, out in their offices to work through the details of the next phase of work. So I'm reluctant about being too optimistic about that side as of yet, but I should know more by the next time I come here. Okay. Hopefully it'll be a productive meeting to be able to schedule access that the contractor needs.
Okay, thank you. Timing of Caltrans reimbursement.
Yeah, this item is not anything that affects the progress of work, but it is the project is front-funded by city funds and reimbursed by Caltrans, and they had a dedicated amount that they were going to give us each year to make sure we get reimbursed and we don't use up all of our city funds and accrue too much financing costs.
Do we have any Public Works Trust Fund front funding on
No,
this one?
this one's MICLA.
This one's a little large.
Yeah, we had 98 million in MICLA as a dedicated front funding source.
Yeah, if you want to give Dr. Campos a heart attack, submit in that loan request.
Yes, we're trying to avoid that, but we also don't want to hit our cap on the MICLA front funding either. So we had a $50 million a year commitment from Caltrans for reimbursement, and last year they only gave us 26. So now we're in the hole this year, and we're not able to invoice those costs to Caltrans. So we're working with them to try and make sure we get back up to our $50 million a year that we're expecting to get reimbursed.
Okay.
The next thing I wanted to show is the project schedule. Of course, it's very small, so it's hard to see, but this is based on the end of September data. Based on the contractor's schedule update through the end of September, the project is 37 days behind the contractual milestone, and we've indicated that they need to develop a recovery schedule to bring that back to...
That's recoverable, isn't it?
We have identified, we've worked with them to go through the remaining activities in the schedule, and we think we've found a couple of ways that we can do it through, unfortunately, one of them will be coordinating with the railroads to ease up on some of the restrictions and potentially accelerating some of the procurement of later materials that are on the critical path. So we think it's doable, provided nothing else happens in the meantime that causes a further delay. It's still within our overall program schedule of completing on time because we had float to complete the bridge by the end of 2020, and this still allows for that to happen, but we'd still like to bring it back to the contractual completion date. Okay. The next slide I'd like to show is data reporting from our contractor on their hiring practices for their craft labor. Just some categories that they monitor. The first one being the disadvantaged worker. They have a goal of 5%, and they've achieved 22.5% to date. For apprentice, they have a goal of 16.7%, and they've achieved 16% to date, but they noted that their current staffing of 14 individuals is 20% of their workforce, so if that continues, they'll be able to make up back to and exceed their goal for the apprentice. The next one is a minority goal of 28.3%, and their achievement to date is 76.2%. And the last goal they have is for female hiring of craft workers of 6.9%. To date, they're below that amount of 1.57 for the project, but they currently have 6 individuals or 9% of their workforce working. So if that continues, again, they'll be able to meet or exceed their goal for female hiring.
So females on target to meet or exceed.
Yes, that's the intent based on their
the
current
other ones
practices.
Are apprentices right there, and the other ones are good.
Yeah, they've had very good hiring practices to achieve their goals.
Great. Okay.
The next slide is our change order status. I'll show this at every quarterly update. We're just about 1%, a little over 1% for the project as a whole, and in the last quarter we had about 100,000 of added, a little over 100,000 of change orders added, which is 0.04% of the contract. And the last slide I wanted to show is an update for the landscaping, the park project. During this last quarter, we held two community meetings, one on the east side of the river and one on the west side of the river to present the final concept design for the park. And they voted on their preferred choice, and we've had that concept now signed off by the Rec and Parks General Manager and by Council District 14, and we're proceeding with moving into the design development, the 35% design. And that's proceeding on schedule. So that's what I have for my status update. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great. We'll start with Commissioner Davis, then Commissioner Repenning, and then Commissioner Rivas.
Thank you. I want to reflect briefly back on our construction labor force hiring. This is basically some of our labor work, isn't it, in terms of the diversity that we've achieved here on an individual basis, or does it include minority business enterprises as well?
This is just their field workers. They're hiring practice for their field workers.
Do we have an assessment of our minority business inclusion?
For this program, it's a DBE. It's a federal program, so we do have a federal goal of 23.95% overall for the project, and they are targeting to meet that. I can work with BCA to provide an update for the next quarterly report. They're based on their subcontracts that they've engaged in. They're on target to meet their practices, but we can have an updated.
And I do realize that it's obviously regulated by federal government, and we will definitely have to meet it. I just wanted to know, in fact, what it was. So.
Got it. Yeah, I'll make sure to include that for the next report.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Repenning.
Just a question about the costs. I see a pretty low figure for change orders thus far. What are we seeing on the horizon? Right, I mean, these are the ones that have been approved.
Correct. These are the executed to date. There are numerous change orders that are in the works that we are still negotiating whether there's merit associated with those change orders or not. The contractor has their position on something that they feel is an extra to the contract, and the city has our position. So depending on how that all plays out, it could be significantly higher than what's already here. But based on where we feel we are with the contract documents, it would be probably in the range of maybe $1 million of pending change orders to resolve all of the issues that may have occurred to date, but they haven't been formally presented or negotiated, so I don't have any real feedback to give you on it.
You said $1 million pending?
That would be my estimate without having a lot of backup data to give you.
Okay. All righty. Well, if you could keep us in the loop on that, that would be great. Thank you, Julie.
Will do.
Thank you, Commissioner Repenning. Commissioner Rivas.
Thank you for this update. From the photos, I could see the difference from when I visited a few months ago. So congratulations on your progress. I had a couple of questions. One on the labor force hiring.
Okay.
Do you know if any of these percentages are also like within certain zip codes or in the city of Los Angeles, like
We do have local information. However, the PLA doesn't have a local hiring requirement because it's excluded. It's not allowed in a federal contract.
Oh, okay.
So there's informal data that the contractor collects, but not in terms of reporting
not
formally.
Because of, yes.
Right.
Okay.
So,
I was just wondering if the contractor does try to hire from the local communities.
They definitely try to hire. It's just that we can't monitor it on a federal contract formally as a target, but I know that's been their goal to hire locally, so I can see if we can provide that data so that you have it as well.
Okay. No, I think it's important because it's, there's a lot of communities with high needs in that area, but,
yes.
And it would be great to hire locally from that, it's going to be a bridge, that's in their own community, and I think that would be great if we can do that. Or
absolutely,
like
it is one of the contractor's internal goals to do that, and I know they have hired a lot of local people, so I think it's happening even though there's not a formal requirement to do so.
Yeah, a requirement. And you said that the female target will be on target.
Yes, they're telling us that they'll meet their target.
Okay. And then with the challenges that you presented, if they were to continue, do you foresee it affecting your overall project schedule?
There are definitely some issues going on that have a potential to impact the schedule, but we're working together with the contractor to try and mitigate those problems. I'll just give an example. The rebar subcontractor feels that they might have to spend a lot of time reworking the steel to get it all to fit. It's a very complex, congested structure, so we're working with the contractor to make sure they develop these 3D models in advance before they start installing the rebar, so that once they get on the field and they've brought the steel out and they're putting it together, it'll be more productive and they won't minimize the rework. So there are potential issues, but we're working together to try and mitigate the impacts to the schedule.
That's like the modeling issue that you mentioned.
Correct.
Right? That it's not complete yet.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you. I want to thank you, Julie, for another great report. Every quarter, we see the progress, especially now that we're above ground. We're doing all the false work, so bridge is coming up, and that's really exciting. Thank you for identifying the challenges, because we need to understand what are the limiting factors or those that can really affect the progress. Really excited to see the recreation and parks, the open space and landscaping. If at the next report in January, if we can come back with a little bit more of information about that, it'd be great to visualize what the community and the task force has agreed upon, and that's important, because that's how the community will interface, the local community especially, will interface with a viaduct. So thank you to you and the team very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Anything further? Well, Julie, another oral report in the books.
Yes, they come so quickly as
we keep marching along. All right, well, thank you. They may get more interesting sooner than later. We'll see. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. Dr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
We are adjourned. Thank you.